And on today's podcast, I'm delighted to welcome Beth Sack-Rogers. How today, Beth?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for
Wonderful.
having me.
No, my pleasure. So let's get this started. So where are you right now on planet Earth?
Well, I'm currently in Colorado in the United States. Um, I spend part of my year here in Colorado, part of my year in Costa Rica, and then my family has property on a lake in New York State, so I spend some time there in the summer.
Oh, very nice. So why are you in Colorado at this moment in time?
Well, I am teaching a program in Colorado that has been really awesome to me and kind of helped me learn about hybrid programs and distance learning.
So if you want to simplify before we go into more of the fun stuff, so to speak, if anybody has no idea, because you hear hybrid all the time, and people think about
Yes.
hybrid cars or hybrid workplace. So what is hybrid from your side of it?
So for us, hybrid learning means that part of your programming, part of your education will be online, and you can sort of independently go through the process. Generally, schools that do a hybrid program have some sort of cap, like you have 18 months or 2 years or whatever to complete the online portion. And then you join a class in a location and do hands-on there. So about a half to two-thirds maybe is online, and then the rest of that would be hands-on.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned there as well Costa Rica. So what's that all about? I mean, it's like it's
Yeah, so
extremes, Costa Rica, Colorado, yeah.
we have a center in Uvita, which is on the Southern Pacific part of Costa Rica. It is just an absolutely beautiful beach area. There are whales that migrate. And so a lot of people come for whale watching. It also has a really lovely surf break. So we get some really great surfers. Um, but it's a beautiful, beautiful area. And I kind of fell in love with it about 15 years ago. And I've owned property there for 5 years now. And we've built a small retreat center there. And we teach massage therapy programs. We teach continuing ed for massage therapists. And we also offer retreats. Our retreats are sort of based on our interests. So we do retreats for massage therapists. We also do retreats for creatives. That's primarily what we focus on. My children and I are all involved in this business, and my children are all very creative souls.
Cool. So, okay, for somebody that's never been to Costa Rica, I know you gave kind of a little bit of kind of an advisor or a travel advisor kind of review. What's probably the stereotypical thing that somebody's ever said to you that has never been to Costa Rica of what it's like? I mean,
Well, I
if
think people are concerned about language
okay,
because it is a Spanish speaking country, but where I am is a really kind of interestingly half Costa Rican, half expat area. And so, in a lot of the restaurants and service places, there's people that speak English. So, it's generally not hard to find. Somebody who speaks English in most shops and grocery stores and restaurants and things like that. There's also a pretty heavy German expat population in Costa Rica, and so there's quite a few Costa Ricans who speak some German as well.
oh cool. And temperature wise, make us jealous. What type of temperature are we talking about?
So the temperature in the beach areas, the tropical areas, tends to not vary a whole lot, somewhere between 70 to 85. That's Fahrenheit, and I'm terrible at Celsius. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Um, and then up into the mountains, it can get down into the upper 50s at night. So it cools off a bit at night in the mountain areas.
Right. And the distinct was kind of the how do you separate between Colorado and Costa Rica? I mean, they obviously have their qualities, but what would your preference be like if you were to stay there all year round? What
Oh
makes you
my
go to
gosh,
Costa Rica instead of
it'd be really
Colorado?
hard to choose. I think my plan is to eventually retire to Costa Rica.
Okay.
Um, I'm not a very great still sitter, so retirement feels like this, something in the distant
Right.
future kind
Okay.
of thing. So, but I think, yeah, I think my long-term goal is to be in Costa Rica most of the year.
And is it like cost of living quite okay over there? Is it quite
Um,
safe? I mean, is it generally
it's quite safe, um, and it cost of living is similar to the U.S., not like big urban areas, but sort of suburban areas in the U.S., maybe a little bit less. Um, the more people that are discovering Costa Rica, the more they're demanding kind of more importy things like you would see at home. And so sometimes grocery costs have changed a bit because they're bringing in more US products or Canadian products that people are accustomed to having at home. So
right?
it's changed just a little bit as I've been there.
So let's go back to the beginning. So
Okay.
generally, where and when did all this start, this passion for, hybrid massage therapy training or coaching programs? So start from the beginning, go all the way back.
All the way back. Um, I got really interested in massage therapy in the early 2000s, honestly, and I went to massage school in 2007. Um, and from there, I kind of started taking some continuing ed courses, and I found that some of the continuing ed um, was a lot in a short period of time. You'd go for like a weekend long intensive, and it'd be 25 hours in 3 days, and just really, really a lot to take in and process. and and I found that a little bit challenging. And so I started thinking about designing some programming for continuing ed where you could sort of do the pre stuff at home before you came and did the hands on, so it didn't feel quite so overwhelming. And so that's sort of where this grew out. So in 2011, I got my approved providership for continuing ed and started building my continuing ed business. And from that grew the idea that we could build a hybrid program as well. And so we have slowly written and designed it. And over the course of that, we found that a lot of the online programming isn't amazing. That it's um, that it's not well written, and also it's not well supported. You sign up for the program, and then you get all the information, and then you work at it. And there might be a teacher you can email, but there's not really any support system. Um, and so with our program, what we've done is design in weekly office hours. We've designed in some palpation at home. So there are uh, palpation classes every month that you can put somebody on your table at home and turn on your Zoom, and I'll have somebody on the table where I am, and we'll palpate muscles or muscle groups together. So there's a lot more support with our program. There's a lot more opportunities to touch base with instructors and get that support that seems to be kind of missing in a lot of the online programming.
And Beth, just tell me, in terms of right, if you were to start this business all over again, so if anybody's out there, would you say they're crazy because is the work involved to set it up as realistic as you thought it would be in the beginning, or is it much harder?
It took a lot longer,
Right.
let's say that. I mean, teaching is really what I love, and I love the curriculum development side of it. So that was really exciting for me to have the opportunity to really design a curriculum that I felt really great about. Um, my eldest son, Nathan, who is a partner with me, it's kind of all my kids have become massage therapists, which is, I guess, the story we'll talk about in a little while. But my son has a master's degree in curriculum development too. So he's been a really great support for me as I've done this as well. But that was really exciting. But it did really take a lot longer than I thought it would. And so so it I don't want to say it was hard, but it was long.
Right. And just so your kids can hear you, I mean, is Nathan your favorite?
Nathan would not say that he is my favorite. He would
Right.
say that my youngest is my favorite.
Okay, so it depends on the time of the day, does it really? Who's
Yeah, it does.
who's annoying you the most?
Yeah. No, it's true. But yeah, they're all really very different. I'm pretty sure if you had 10 children, they'd all be different. but they're all very different. But that's kind of amazing for our business because they all contribute really different things to the
Oh,
business, which really enhances what we're doing and makes it fuller.
and the youngest is Graham, the youngest, is he?
My youngest is Graham, and he has a BFA in acting and is an actor and a playwright, and is also a yoga instructor and a meditation instructor. And he has worked with a couple of companies where they bring meditation into elementary schools.
Oh,
So he's really into movement and meditation, as well as acting. He studied Alexander technique and Suzuki method. So he's kind of my movement side of things. And he's got a really amazing presence about him. He's kind of funny because he's 6'5", so he's really tall and long and has a giant arm span. So he's fun to watch give massage
right.
as well because he's really into the movement and the body mechanics of it.
So he can be in one room and the arms will reach the other room. Is that what you're trying to
Yeah,
say?
exactly.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Do you want to mention the other child just in case you get upset?
So my other child is my daughter, my middle child, Margaret, and she's spent a lot of her massage career on yachts, traveling. So she
Wow.
and I have that in common. We both love travel, but she's worked on yachts for several years and has been a charter massage therapist on yachts.
Wow. So it really does run in the family. So if you were to go
Yeah.
back, before we move on to the business side again, if you were to go back and you were to tap, say you go back in time, you're going to tap yourself in the shoulder before you set up your business, what would you do anything different?
Um, I don't know that I would. I think there are times when I wish I had had more time to kind of concentrate on it, um, because I've kind of always had a couple of jobs at the same time. For a while, I had a massage therapy business and had some employees. And so, I've always been one of those people that's worn a lot of hats at the same time.
Right.
So I guess probably if I could do something different, I would have done it sooner and I would have concentrated on it a little bit more and gotten it started sooner.
Right.
Um, Although in hindsight, COVID kind of messed with a lot of massage schools, so maybe it was better that I wasn't there then.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because COVID really did mess up a lot of stuff. And I can
Yeah,
imagine, especially the industry that you were in, which
yes.
obviously is a physical, you need to actually kind of touch people or, to kind
Yeah.
of, which is part of the business. And
Hmm.
that must have been a strain, was it?
It was a strain, and it was just really interesting. And I think a lot of massage therapy schools, because so many massage schools are so hands-on,
Mhm.
it was really hard to pivot. Because we rely so much on everything we do being in a classroom and being able to be kinesthetic and touching people so I think it was really hard for a lot of schools and a lot of education programs to make those pivots to try to do some online programming and things like that. um, so I'm lucky that I was ahead of the curve as far as that was concerned. But that really was an impetus to really jump in with both feet and do this and build it and get it going.
Well, fair play to you. I mean, wait, have you any funny stories you'd like to share? You don't have to say names right like that you've experienced. Has anybody kind of, because obviously it can be, I know myself, I've had a few massages over the years, and one of the funniest ones my pal had where it wasn't a massage, but he actually went in to get, do you know the earwax candles?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he actually walked out with them in his ears. He didn't know what
Oh,
was really going
no.
on, and off he went. Like he's a bit of a doze off. We won't say who he is. I'll name him later on. But have you had any funny kind of awkward moments?
Well, I actually had somebody's water break on my table once.
Wonderful. Okay, continue. Here we go. Now, people, the listeners are
It
listening
wasn't,
again.
it wasn't one of those stories. I didn't have to catch the baby or anything,
All
but
right.
that's kind of my wildest story is that I had a client and she was, I think, due, within the week or so and came in and went to the restroom before she got on the table. She got on the table and she was like, something weird's happening. And she was like, I think I have to go to the bathroom again. And she went back to the bathroom and then um, about 10 more minutes into the massage, we were like, I think your water's broken.
Oh,
But
dear.
she didn't go into active labor, so it wasn't quite as stressful as it could have been. But
Right.
that's kind of one of my wilder experiences. I was prepared to be racing to the hospital to get her there in time, but
other than that, I was kind of getting shocked there because it was kind of disappointing when you said a woman was expecting. I was kind of
yeah,
thinking that somebody's waters broke while they were having a massage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't want somebody's water to break that that isn't pregnant, I
A little bit awkward. Okay, let's move on swiftly.
guess.
So, okay, let's talk about the business side of things and kind of mix it all
Okay.
in. So, what is, I'm going to pronounce this as best I can, Contatto, is that correct? Contatto?
Contatto. Uh-huh.
Contatto Wellness Education Center. So, sell it,
So that's
tell the world
our
about it.
overall business, which is how the name that we chose to get our approved providership in 20 I guess 2012. And that's the name of our center in Costa Rica. And so if you were interested in coming to massage school with us, then you would, go online and look up contattowellness.com. Um, but that's the name of our business, and that means touch in Italian. I realize it's kind of funny that I have an Italian word in my title and I have a business in Costa Rica, but um, but we like travel, so that's kind of how it all came together. We actually had visited Italy, and so somehow that seemed like the right name at the time that we named it. But anyways, so Contatto Wellness is our overall company and also the name of our business in Costa Rica.
Right. And okay, so you've I want to pronounce this correctly as well. You have a program which is it Emblex? Is that how you
Yes, so
pronounce
the
it?
MBLEX or the MBLEX
Right.
is the national certification exam for massage therapists in the United States.
Okay.
So
And how does that work?
everybody well, I think there's 47 states now that accept that as the national certification exam. So once somebody graduates massage school, they have to take that test before they can get a license in 47 of our 50 states.
Right.
Um,
And
so
is there
um,
any opportunity of being like branched out internationally, globally?
I know I just had a student from the Virgin Islands and she took the NBLEX as well. Um, so I know that it does branch out, but don't know exactly how far its fingers spread
Right.
exactly.
If somebody was to say choose a massage skill, what would you suggest or recommend other than your own?
Well, of course, my own. But honestly, that's a really great question because I think a lot of people just tend to pick based on convenience or price. And there's so many variables and so many things that I think you should ask. I think for me, one of the concerns, especially with hybrid programs, is how many clinic hours are you going to be expected to give to that school? We're finding with a lot of hybrid programs, they're keeping their price point low. Um, and then they're expecting students to do like 200 or 250 clinic hours. So they're kind of making their money off the back of these students in a student clinic situation. Um, and I feel like if you do 40 to 50 clinic hours at a school, you're going to get a really great um, combination of different people. I always say you want to work on some young people and some older people and some healthy people and some less healthy people, and some people that are really fit and some people that are trying to get fit. Because it gives you a really good differential on what different tissue feels like. So I think that's important. I also think, the qualifications of the instructors is really important. There's a difference between a massage educator and a massage therapist who is now going to show you what they do. Uh, and and I think that that's a really important thing to look for is somebody who has an education background, who understands the curricula, who understands what the MBLEX is looking for, not just somebody who can show you their techniques.
And like for age wise, I mean, do you find is it like from 20-year plus or 30 or 40? What age range
I
does
mean,
usually?
I think it's not necessarily someone who's been a teacher for 20 years. I think it's somebody who understands curricula and understands the MBLEX test and understands what an introductory massage therapy student needs, the kind of overall background in healthcare that is expected of them. So it's not even necessarily the anatomy and physiology, which I'd say I'm really stronger at than, maybe a lot of people, but it's about understanding treatment planning and understanding how to make an assessment of a client and do a gait analysis really quickly because we don't always have that kind of time. Um, so, it's an overall thing. Looking for somebody who maybe has a teaching background, who maybe has a stronger um, degree, or has a varied background in what they've done in massage therapy. I think too, somebody who's worked with a chiropractic office and with a med spa and with a franchise maybe, um, rather than just having had one experience too,
Right.
or or someone who's run their own business. I think is another, you'll get that kind of experience from them. So if that's what you're wanting to do, then maybe that's who you look for in an instructor, because then you get really a mentor instead of just a teacher.
And the business side you mentioned there in terms of running your own business, I mean, from your point of view, I think we briefly touched on it before, but how much hard work is it to get this off the ground?
I mean, it's like any small business, I think sometimes we're naive and we're like, well, I'm a really great massage therapist and my books are really full at this salon and I should be making more money, so I'm going to run my own spa. Um, and I think that's great. And I think some people are really entrepreneurial and can do that. But I always tell my students, at least 25% of your time is going to be not massaging. So right away, if you work 40 hours, you're only going to work 30 hours. So that money that you were making in those last 10 hours, you're not going to be bringing in anymore because you're going to need that money to wash the sheets and sweep the floors and do your social media and book the appointment and do all the other stuff that needs to be done when you run a business, the accounting and and all of that, paying your rent. So right away, you're gonna lose some income probably, even if you're making more. So you've got to make sure that balances. And I always tell everybody too, I'm kind of a Shark Tank fan. And I
Okay.
always say, the first thing they asked on Shark Tank is, what are your numbers? So you need to know your numbers. You need to know what it costs you to give every single massage that your business is going to give. Um, and know what that cost you. So take your rent and your marketing and your whatever you're spending and divide that by the number of massages that are going through your business in a week and figure out what each massage costs. Um,
Yeah. For anybody bet that doesn't know what Shark Tank is, just give us an overview, especially in Europe, because
Oh,
I think
sorry,
there's
that's a
something
US
similar we've
show
heard, but I don't think it's called Shark Tank.
where inventors and creators come on and sort of try to get a venture capitalist to invest in their company. And I'm kind of like, that's one of my like midnight when I can't sleep TV shows that I watch. Um, and it's got a really interesting insight into business, a lot into like what would sell and what wouldn't and those kinds of things. But the first thing they always ask is, what are your numbers? What are your sales? What's it cost you? What's your customer acquisition price point and all of those kinds of things. And it makes me laugh if people go on there and don't have an idea of what those numbers are because the sharks go out, kind
Right.
of eat them alive. But knowing your numbers is really important before you even start. Before you sign the lease, you got to figure out what it's going to cost you and how many massages you need to do to make that happen. And maybe rent in the fanciest part of town isn't a great idea. Maybe you start, on the side street and build to the fanciest part of town or whatever it is. But make sure that your numbers work because I think a lot of us, particularly in the States, a lot of us have not been taught a lot about money management. And particularly as women in the States, I think it's very limited in the information that we get through school and even a lot of times growing up from our parents. We sometimes don't like to talk about money here in the US. Um, I know you get that some in the UK too,
Yeah.
but it's really important for people to understand budgeting and spending and understanding numbers, because you can't successfully run a business if you don't.
Do you think, Beth, like in your own opinion, like there's a lot of businesses winging it? So
Oh
kind
yeah.
of they're just kind
Oh
of like, oh yeah,
yeah. I
let's make a
think
cash
so.
grab. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's very like, that American dreamy kind of thing here in the US too. If I just start my own business and I'm good at what I do, then I'll be, comfortable at least. I'll have enough money to live. And I think we forget how hard that is, and and there was a reason for mom and pop businesses. I think a lot of people do that together.
Yeah.
Um, and and having a support system and having people who want to do that with you is really nice.
Did you ever have any moments where you kind of just went, oh, this is not for me, especially at the beginning of the kind of the business journey?
Oh yeah, and and you think, God, what do what am I doing? I left a steady income to kind of do this. Like, sure, sure. I think everybody has moments of doubt. And but for me, I'm really feeling like I want to build something that other people can share and kind of learn from my mistakes too. Um, I'm kind of generally an introvert, so I don't fill the room with my stories normally. Um, so I think it's really, important to be able to share some of the things that I've done wrong in the 20 years that I've been doing this.
And did you have the support like from the kiddies as well, or was it like,
Yeah, my kids have always been super supportive. My mom has always been super supportive, except for at the beginning. I have to laugh because I was in my 40s when I went to massage school, and she kept going, that's a really physical job. You're not as young as you used to be.
good old moms, no filter?
So,
I'll just say it as it is.
nothing like
Because I get it here. I get my parents would say, "Oh, you're putting on a bit of a belly there, aren't you?" And I was like,
Yeah.
there's no subtle
Yeah.
way of saying it. Just tell me I'm overweight or I'm fat, like or something like that. It's the same thing. Just kind
Uh-huh.
of move on
No.
very quickly, like you know what I mean. No, but
Yeah.
but but in terms of that, like you did have a bit of support there, other than well, I say your mum did, probably in her own special way.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, definitely. I think and I also think by the time you're 40, you kind of like get you get some of the support is there. It may not come in the package you want it to come in.
Yeah, yeah. There's no filter. No, it's true. Because I even find myself now is that when I look at somebody or say something, I have to kind of stop. You have that thing on your shoulder. Say it,
Uh-huh.
Dave. Don't say it, Dave. Say it, Dave. Like, and the older I get, the less the don't say it, Dave kind of disappears.
Uh-huh.
Or you just kind of just blah. You just say it. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It is. Sorry, we're
No,
just
I do that with I have that sometimes with my students. I'm kind of like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah, I know. They're like, oops, okay. Let's move on to a different school. Oh, I'm joking. In terms of, okay, you mentioned there what this has gone around. It's really fascinating. What tissue feels like. So
oh yeah.
I'm touching my hand as we speak, and it's kind of feels kind of old and kind of rubbery. So what are we looking at here in terms of if you're kind of finding out different types of tissue? I mean, if you push too hard when you're massaging, can you actually hurt somebody, depending on their tissue? And or am I going to kind of way off here?
No, I mean, yes, you can. Generally, I mean, I like to teach from the aspect of most of the time, like healthy bodies that are, not, um, in a disease situation or in a frail situation. And in that case, it's kind of hard. Like you could do it, but you'd have to work pretty hard at it to hurt someone.
Right.
Um, but we do occasionally bruise people. I mean, we want to be concerned about somebody who's on blood thinners or those kinds of things, high blood pressure meds, people with neuropathy, particularly in the US, we're concerned with diabetic neuropathy a lot, because those are folks that we really can hurt. Um, but generally, as a massage therapist, you're not going to hurt anybody giving, a standard wellness massage. Um, However, tissue does feel different. As we age, our muscles start to atrophy some. Folks who work out have a tendency to have more tone in their muscle than folks who don't. And so we get tissue feels different, for different people. And I think that it's really important to kind of understand what the range of normal is.
Right.
Um, and so that's why I say I think somewhere around 40 or 50 massages, generally students can sort of feel what feels normal and what might feel outside of that normal range.
Right. If anybody's looking at the camera there, was that a cat jumping on behind?
Yes, the cat just did go by.
Wonderful. What type of cat is that?
I've I've adopted two kittens. I named them Origin and Insertion to tell you what kind of a nerd I am.
Okay. Wait, origin
But
and
um, but
insertion.
we've
Okay.
nicknamed them Ori and Cersei. So
Okay. So give the background. Why the two names? I mean, is this a Star Trek thing or something like that? Is
so well, I don't know. We did a little we put it up on our face on our I think it was on our Instagram anyway. So we had a little vote. We were between like tibia and fibula and I can't remember. I think flexion and extension too. But
okay. Fair enough.
but anyways, origin and insertion won, and origin and insertion are like hard to call.
Right.
So we nicknamed them Ori and Cersei.
Well, obviously they're very agile because I mean that leap was pretty impressive. Obviously the
Yeah, that
massages
was
are
kind of
working very well for
impressive.
those kittens. Obviously, get yourself over to that wellness center if you have a cat. Jeez, I've never seen a cat jump. I nearly jumped out of the screen here. I did. It's unbelievable. No, but just in case anybody's watching, going, "What was that in the background?" It wasn't anything in your mind.
No,
It
no,
wasn't
it
AI.
was
It
a
was a real
cat.
cat or a kitten. How
I
old are they?
should have closed my door.
No, you're fine. You're okay. How old are they? Are they only babies?
Yeah, they're like 6 months old.
Ah, they're only babies. Ah, that's good. Oh, fair play to you. I love animals. I really, really do. No, great. Well done. In terms of, okay, if somebody's kind of moving from one career to another,
Hmm.
and they want to get involved in the wellness side or they want to get involved in massage therapy, how can you support them? Other than tell them like to get on with it and life is nearly over. It's nearly a ticking. Like, what do you say to them?
Well, I mean, I think, part of the thing that we do at CWEC, at Contatto, is that we really try to stay small on purpose. We really want to support, kind of the whole person, the whole learner, and really be a part of people's change and growth. But I would say at least half of my students are career changers or, not starting out. We get a lot of people, honestly, that use massage to sort of round out a career sometimes. But I'm also finding a lot more people are coming to massage that have been in healthcare that people like nurses or occupational therapists who are kind of like sick of all the, they end up doing all paperwork and not really working with people. And so massage feels like a way to really connect back with the patients. Um, so I would say probably half of my students are not new, new career seekers or kids that are fresh out of high school or college, but folks that have done some other things, and just feel called to help and support people in their wellness journeys. Um, so I think it's a great way. The thing that I say that I love the most about massage is that we get a whole hour with people.
Right.
And in healthcare, that's really unusual. Um, And sometimes it gives us just the opportunity to like hear other people's stories that they don't get to tell their other healthcare providers, which I think could be a huge blessing for your clients sometimes, just to be able to talk about how their disease, um, and I use that term really kind of loosely. Like I think of anybody who's out of balance as being having disease. So, but anybody who's, who's not feeling well, who has chronic pain, who has, a condition, particularly until they can put a name on it, really needs to be validated. And we get a whole hour. So sometimes we have that opportunity to validate those folks in a way that other healthcare providers don't have the time for.
Do you think, Beth, like, does certain groups or individuals that come across? Geez, I'm looking at myself on the screen. Don't worry about this, any listeners. I'm like Patrick Swayze from that movie Ghost. All you can see is a halo. But do you ever think there's individuals out there that maybe you've met in your career or in your journey or trained that they're kind of doing it for the wrong reasons? So they're doing it for the money side and they're not really into the kind of the wellness side or, trying to help others feel better, so to speak.
Sure. I
Have you ever
think,
encountered that?
yeah, I mean, I think there are folks like that that come along every once in a while. Um, I laugh because every once in a while I'll get like a really Jim Bro-y kind of guy who's like, "Well, I'm only touching the pretty girls." And I'm always like, "Let
Okay.
me tell you who I'm going to schedule you for in clinic."
Off to the prison we go.
Or I'll be like, I will find the, oldest, hairiest, molliest folks, and those will be who's on their table in student
That's
clinic
it.
because that's just not what massage is about.
Right,
And
okay.
so you might as well get used to it early. But yeah, I mean, I think there are folks that come to massage. The other thing about massage training, at least in the States, is it's relatively short compared to other healthcare careers. It's relatively inexpensive, so it's a, not unreasonable entry level. So we do get folks sometimes who I'm gonna say just don't quite know what they're in for yet.
Yeah.
Or are surprised at the amount of anatomy and physiology and pathologies that we study, and those kinds of things. And that, you know, um, makes me laugh because I'm like, don't you want your massage therapist to like know those things? Really?
Right. Of course you do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like our
Um,
friend who wants to massage certain
yeah. And
individuals.
I
Yeah.
think also sometimes we advertise, that massage therapists are, make $65,000 a year, and that intrigues people, and they come into school and expect that they're going to walk out the door 6 months later and be able to make 65 or $70,000 a year. And I think there are a lot of massage therapists who do make that kind of money, but usually not in their first year and not without making some effort to build, you know, trust with their clientels and to really build a clientele that works for them, you know.
No, fair play to you. I mean, there's a lot of hard work involved, and I think I mean, you're showcasing it here today, and it just listening to you have a bit of passion there. You have a lot of passion there,
I
and
do.
you do. You can see it. I mean, anybody that's wanting to get into this industry, you'd be an inspiration to them. In 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 saying that, I mean, how do you mentioned study and stuff like that? How do you keep up to date with the latest trends or the latest advancements, or does it change quite regularly in terms of your
Um,
expertise?
We're kind of young as far as research goes. In the US, most of the research in massage therapy started in the late 90s. A woman named Dr. Tiffany Field started the Touch Research Institute out of the University of Miami, in the late 90s. And so most of our research is relatively young considering, healthcare. I realize that that's like almost 30 years, but that's relatively new research. So our research is changing and evolving and improving. Um, there were, I think, a lot of myths or thoughts or things before that still kind of come out every once in a while, but we're learning more about what massage therapy can and can't do. I mean, for example, when I started in school in 2007, I think I went to massage school. Um, the prevailing idea was that we couldn't touch a cancer patient until they were 5 years in remission. And now there are massage therapists and reflexologists who are actually giving massage to folks as they're receiving chemotherapy. Um, so it's certainly evolved and changed. There's some really excellent journals in massage in the States that come out quarterly, and I'm an avid reader of them. We have a couple of really excellent um, organizations that send out information, the AMTA and the ABMP, and they're really helpful. And I find that going to continuing education is really helpful too, because I think it's really, we spend a lot of our time in a dark room by ourselves with a client, really. So we're not, well, I'd like to say we kind of work alone, but we sort of grow together. So I think coming to live continuing ed is like really important for us because I think we don't connect. And I think that makes massage therapy really interesting for a lot of introverts
Yep.
because we really don't have to work with a lot of other people. Um, but I think going to those events and those conventions can be really helpful to really sort of support and build a community because I think that's really how we grow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you need a drink, Beth?
Do I drink?
No, do
Oh,
you
do
need
I
a
need?
drink? Do you drink as
I
well?
do. Yeah.
You have a drink to everyone. That was question number nine. Does Beth drink while she's doing massages? That'll be the next
Not while
question.
I'm doing massage.
That's question number 10.
I'm like, which direction is this
I know.
going?
This is an odd podcast. My word. Okay. Um, okie dokie. So I'll edit that bit out, don't worry. So in terms of what were the challenges? I mean, what do you think for the future of wellness? Do you think because of introduction of things like AI and stuff like that, that people will probably need more wellness because will they be kind of sitting at home doing twiddling their thumbs? Because that's what we're led to believe. And we might have
Yeah,
more
I
time.
sort of think that too. Well, I mean, I think massage therapy is changing just like everything else, but we're really wanting to be a part of that change, honestly. I mean, that's kind of why we want to go into this hybrid education model. Um, but and there's massage robots now, but there's human touch is a thing, and I find the more I do this, the more necessary it is. The more people are disconnected, the more they need touch. Um, and I think we learned that with COVID. Um, so I feel like while AI is changing the world, um, I don't think the need for human touch will ever change. Um,
So how does massage robots work? I mean, I haven't heard this one
I don't
before.
know. I watched them and I just, I don't know. Well, I mean, they have massage chairs and things like that. And at the gym, a lot of people, have those water recovery kind of massage tables and things like that. And they do help, but they're not the same. And again, we go back to that, how does tissue feel?
Yeah.
Robots can only do so much to understand how tissue feels. And can you as a patient, can you talk to the robot and tell it, what your expectations for a massage are? Can you tell it how your disease makes you feel? Can you be like, oh, that feels good or that hurts me, stop it. There's
Yeah.
there's there's a lot of things that working with a human is not going to change, no matter how great the AI gets.
So what about then? Okay, somebody's preparing, so not from your side of it, but an individual's never been for massage before.
Mhm.
So, what are your pet hates of the individual? So say for example, it's me, and I've picked up the phone. I went, "Hello, can I get a massage, please?" What are you expecting from me when I go in there?
Well, I think it's really nice when folks are open about kind of what's going on with their body. Um, I think sometimes when you go to healthcare, you either, are like, I'm fine, really, nothing's bothering me. I don't know why, my family made me come to the doctor, and they're bleeding or something.
Right.
I'm great, it's good. You know, being honest about kind of what's going on with your body. Um, Also, I always tell my clients, I can be the most skilled massage therapist in the world, and I'd like to think I am.
Yes, of course.
But I I still don't know your pain level, and that may change. Particularly people with chronic issues or autoimmune issues, their pain level and their discomfort level changes a good bit. And so, you've got to be honest with me if something makes you uncomfortable. And there's certainly body signals for me to notice, and hopefully I do. Um, but I also need you to tell me because, if a client is tensing up and fighting against you on the table, then you're not being as effective as you could be. It's easier for us to work on relaxed tissue than it is for us to work on tissue that's tense.
Right.
So that's really helpful for us. So again, like we really want an honest line of communication with our clients. That's really helpful
So,
for
so,
us.
so what about hygiene, Beth? Let's talk about hygiene. I mean, what's the real put-offs? I'm sorry, listeners, but we're human at
Yeah,
the
I
end of the
mean,
day.
it's nice if you take a shower before you come in. Every once in a while, somebody will be like, I came straight from the gym. I didn't even take a shower. And
Oh,
you're
that's
like,
lovely. Yeah.
gross. Um, or somebody will come in with dirty summer feet that, has hardly been in flip-flops for a couple of days or whatever. Um,
What about bunions or corns? I mean, really go into
um,
detail. What are they like? I mean, are they
well, I mean, bunions and corns would be what we consider to be a local contraindication. We're not going to really put any pressure on those.
right?
Um,
But as a
you know,
put-off, I mean,
um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Feet fascinate me, so that doesn't bother me so much. I think some people are really put off by that. Kinds of things that we don't want to see would be like any kind of fungal infection, athlete's feet, and those kinds of things, because that's contagious and we can spread it. Also if you're having a really like big wait, words a big outbreak of like acne or something like that, we're going to have to avoid those areas. So think about before you come in, we'd rather cancel a session the day before and try to fill that than you show up and us not be able to work on you too. Um, so, yeah, hygiene is important. But a lot of times we kind of have some ways to work around that even. Um, and uh, and um, and those contagious things, sharing coughs and colds and stuff. If you're running a fever, don't come in and tell us it's allergies. We know it's we're touching you. We can tell that you're warm. Um, you know, um, and again, like we would much rather miss an hour of service than miss, 2 days because somebody came in and got us sick.
right. Do you want to have another drink?
Sure.
Go ahead. We'll remove all that stuff anyway.
Okay.
So Beth, tell me, in terms of feet, you said you're fascinated by feet. So I'll tell you my little story here. It'll bore you for a couple of seconds. I was in Asia, just name dropping, and I
Uh-huh.
went in for a foot massage, and the massage therapist was kind of pressing points to the base of my feet and telling me, "Oh, if you get pain here, it's your kidneys. If you get pain here, it's your liver. If that's your brain, all this type of stuff." So, I mean, what's it all about with the feet in relation to massage and health?
Well, there's a field called reflexology, and the idea is that there are points on the hands and the feet that reflect back to structures or systems in the body. And so I think that's what you were experiencing. And there's a way to kind of map the feet and understand what those points are. Um, and for a long time, we just sort of said, well, it's kind of an art and a science, and it's this thing that, was traditional, kind of an ancient practice. But now we're starting to understand that it's a connection with the fascia. and that the fascial trains that move from those structures are actually connected to those points in the hands and the feet, and that's how we're having an effect on those systems, and structures. And I find that fascinating too. But feet are so interesting because there's so many bones and so many things kind of going on there. And and I love how much they support us, and how much balance we're actually using our feet for. It's that I found that fascinating to me, the anatomical kind of structure of it all too.
No, it's amazing because I mean they kept pressing the base of my foot and they kept saying, "Can you feel that?" And I was like, "No." And, "Can you feel that?" I went, "No." It was from my brain, so there's obviously nothing there. So
I got nothing there. It's
nothing
nothing.
there. Keep pressing. It's not going to change. I'm
But
still
it can be, I mean, it can be really useful for people like, for example, the brain. If somebody's got a lot of headaches and they've got a lot of discomfort in their head and their neck and you can't really work on it, sometimes you can have an effect on those structures by working on the feet, which does not cause your client or your patient, pain in those, in that area.
right. Okay, we're onto the business side now. We are, Beth. So
Okay.
this is where you sell yourself
Oh, good.
110%, and you've done a great job so far. This is where we go into the money side of it then. So I'm looking at your website. I'm going to try pronounce it as mentioned before, contatowellness.com.
Contatto.
Contatto, there we go. Potato, contatto.
Contatto. Yeah.
Okay, contattowellness.com. So you have massage training. We spoke about before the MBLEX coaching. You have retreats,
Hmm.
information about yourself and your three kiddies as well.
Yeah.
Obviously we know who you like the best, which is great. We'll say nothing else. That was pre-recording. Sorry, kids. Shouldn't have said that. That kind of slipped out again. No brain. And the your contact information. So, okay, let's start with it then. So, if I was to pick up the phone again and I was going to go, okay, I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to do this. I want to do that. How does the whole process work?
Okay, so if you're interested in any of our programming at Contatto Wellness, um, we encourage everybody to kind of book a call with us. Like I said, we'd like to really keep everything that we do small so we can really personalize things for our folks. And so through our contattowellness.com/call, you can book a half an hour call with me, and we can sort of figure out what works best. I don't know how it happens serendipitously, but a lot of times folks end up in the group that they should be. It's amazing how groups of people, at a retreat or in one of our intensives, like really belong together and support each other, and I'm always like, somebody will be like, well, I was supposed to be in session 4 and something happened. I ended up in session 5. And I'm always like, that was so great because you wouldn't have fit in session 4 as
Right.
well. So it's kind of funny how that works out. But we really like the personal connection and kind of understanding what our clients and students are looking for, just so we feel like we can help them the best.
Right. And so say for example, the different say programs are price wise. What are we talking about here? Say for introduction courses or a bit more
So we
advanced.
price our hybrid program in particular in 2 phases because we feel like not everybody is going to do both things. So we have an online portion, which is about $6,000, and that is 400 hours of education, and obviously support from our staff. And we offer weekly office hours and a variety of things online that you can connect with people with. And then we do our 6-week intensives. And we're about to start offering them in the States, but we've been offering them in Costa Rica, and they start around that same price point. So total all in for your massage therapy education with us is somewhere around 12,500 US dollars. Um, and when we open up in the States, we're going to be a little bit less expensive. So, but that's going to be our general price point is somewhere around $12,000. And then our retreats are somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500, depending on how long your stay is and those kinds of things. What excursions we're doing makes a little bit of a variety in there. And then we have a reflexology course and what we call an advanced massage course. And both of those are 2 weeks long. And they're around $3,200 each. And so that's some additional training on top of our basic and as well as room and board in Costa Rica. We do several meals during those sessions, but there's also time for you to eat on your own and experience uvita and do what you want to do also.
So what's the meals like? What type of meals are we talking about here?
Well, we have a Costa Rican chef who comes in and does a Costa Rican meal for us at least once during a session. We also offer breakfast every day and some lunches. The first time I taught in Costa Rica, I was at a school and they didn't offer any meals, and there were a couple students there who were like only eating fruit from the fruit trees, like they didn't have money to buy food.
Okay.
Um, and so that, and they were there for like 4 months, and it really upset me. I guess that's my mother heart kind of. But I was like, so I make sure that we have breakfast at least most days. So at least everyone's getting one meal. And then we do a couple of lunches a week. Like I said, we bring in a Costa Rican chef. And then we have some groups that, and then we do like a pizza party and a few things. So we do probably 3 dinners too by the time we're done with everything. But we've had groups that kind of like group cook too, where one person takes Monday night and one person takes Tuesday night, and then everybody goes out to dinner on Wednesday night, and then another person takes Thursday night, another person takes Friday night. And buys and cooks for everybody. So it kind of depends on our groups what they do. But breakfast is, yogurt and tropical fruit and and then we do some toast and bacon and eggs and things. So we vary it up a bit. Traditional rice and beans with an egg on top is a popular one in our at our events. But always, lovely fruit that's fresh and in season. And we have smoothie breaks and things depending on what's ripe on campus. And so,
I,
and
I
I
love
like
a
to bake
smoothie break.
cookies. So I bake cookies too.
Oh, good. So, I mean, for facility wise, can say future people wanting to attend or attendees, I mean, where can they see the information for this? Is it on the website specifically?
Yeah, it's on the website specifically, and there are pictures of the cabinas. We have 2 bedroom cabinas with a bath and what we call a Costa Rican kitchen. So each cabina has like a bar-sized fridge and a hot plate and a microwave. So you can cook your own basic meals there. And then we have a outdoor kitchen on campus that does have an oven that's got, a bigger range, and a full-size fridge and those kinds of things. So
Well,
um,
it's pretty cool. So, where else then can the listeners get in touch with you? I can see here little logos for Facebook,
yeah,
Instagram,
we're on
stuff like that.
Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. We also have TikTok, although we're less active on TikTok. We're old.
But are you dancing on TikTok or
No, I am not dancing on
no?
TikTok. Like I said, we're kind of old, so TikTok is
No.
probably not really our space. We also do, we have a phone number. So traditionally, we've got that. And so, yeah, I don't think we're difficult to get in touch with. At least I hope people don't find us difficult to get in touch with. But we tend to be pretty quick to respond. We love talking to people about massage and about, what we do. We love Costa Rica. We love our program. So we're happy to talk about it.
No, that's cool. I mean, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Before I go, this is a question I'm going to introduce from now on. So, if Beth Sack could not be a massage therapist, or if she didn't have her wellness center, what would she be?
Oh, I don't know.
What did you ever dream of doing that kind of you still have that kind of little bit of, ooh, I wouldn't mind giving that a go.
I think I'd maybe like to be a writer if I could figure out how to do that. Uh, and I'd maybe like to be a chef. I do like to cook. I love to entertain. I love to cook for people. So, yeah,
And in terms of
I
the writing,
probably
what type of writing would you do, Beth?
um I don't know. I've written two books. I've written one on test anxiety. I've written another one on meditation. Um, and so I've really enjoyed that process. I'm in the middle of writing a children's wellness book series, which I hope will come out this fall. Um, that's kind of a, I guess, a cross between Miss Frizzle and Mr. Rogers a little bit.
Okay.
So anyways, so that's my next venture. I'm really excited to sort of share some wellness things with kids.
And have you any name for this future book yet?
Um, our first book is going to be called Max Masters Meditation.
Wow, Max, there's a scoop. I feel like that, what's his name? Jimmy from is this Superman? I got a little scoop there, I did, yeah. Little scoop of
Yeah,
ice
you did.
cream.
This is yeah, I haven't talked about this at all yet, so this is news.
Little scoop I did there. So cool. So we're looking forward to when that's released. It'll be good. I can't wait for my copy in the post now. Signed, please. That's just a little
Okay.
name.
Send me
I
your
won't mention.
address. It'll be the first one to go out.
That's it. I won't mention those kids that you which is your favorite. Anyway, Nathan. It's all before recording. It's all coming out now. Don't forget two signed copies, please. Yep. Okay, okay. All this let me to say thanks so much to Beth for joining me on the Wellbeing and Career podcast. I'll put all the links for the website and all the social media as soon as the podcast is being published and released. So thanks so much to Beth for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I was nervous about this, but it was a lot of fun.
No, my pleasure.